Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is a very strange occurrence at all, which was actually predicted by a lot of people because suddenly a man and a woman been charged over the Dundee knife incident. And many people predicted this a few days ago because this story centres around the incident, which we all know if we just show you that one simple photograph. And what happened was many people in the media as well were telling us about this story about this man and this woman who were approached by this young lady. I didn't make any comment because we didn't know the full details. However, we do now know a little bit more because lo and behold, we now have the story of a man and a woman who have both been charged. Now, I'm going to use the, why is that not coming up? I'm just going to use the local paper as reference for this. I'm going to reference a police statement and I'm going to tell you about other things, not with the case, not with what potentially went on, because that could harm the case. And we've been told not to pass on misinformation. I'm going to just talk about how this has been reported by the mainstream media and the police and show you their words that they've used up until now. So the story is man and there you go, women charged over the Dundee knife incident. A 12-year-old girl has already been charged in connection with the incident in Lochee on August the 23rd. Two further people have been charged as part of a probe into an incident in the Lochee area of Dundee where a girl is accused of possessing a knife. The Courier can reveal police have charged a man and a woman after carrying out extensive inquiries into the incident in St Anne Lane on August the 23rd. The nature of the charges against the pair has not been revealed. Officers also reiterated their plea for people not to share misinformation about the incident. I'm not going to share misinformation. I'm just going to share information that we've already been told, predominantly by the police force. It comes after the police issued another misinformation warning last week after rumours spread on social media that claimed a Bulgarian man and woman were involved in the incident. Some people had claimed that the Bulgarian man and woman had been the victims of this incident, and it was sole victims of this incident. A 12-year-old girl has already been charged over the alleged possession of a knife and an axe. Police spokesman said, following extensive inquiries, a man and a woman have been charged in connection with an incident in St Anne Lane in Dundee, which was reported around 7:40 on Saturday the 23rd of August. The circumstances will be reported to the Procurator Fiscal. That's kind of what happens up here once you're charged. The Procurator Fiscal then decide if they're going to pursue you with a court case. A girl previously charged with being in possession of an offensive weapon will be referred to the Scottish Child Reporter Administration and the Procurator Fiscal. Members of the public are again urged not to share misinformation, which I won't, about this incident or speculate on the circumstances. Now, what happened last week was this. The police put out a statement. Now, this statement, Chief Superintendent Nicola Russell said, "We are aware of misinformation being shared on social media in relation to an incident where a Bulgarian couple were approached by youths in St Anne Lane, Dundee on 23rd of August 2025. 12-year-old girl has been charged with being in possession of an offensive weapons, plural. She will be referred to the relevant authorities and their inquiries are ongoing. We would like to thank the local community for their help with their investigations and would urge public not to share misinformation about this incident to speculate on the circumstances." So that's kind of where we were, right? And the world went into overdrive. There was this stories went round the globe. Very famous people, Elon Musk, etc., have all commented on this story. But we actually had people in our own media proclaiming the innocence of two adults who may or may not be the people that have been arrested, because we don't have any details on that. But one thing that's came to light from an American source is that apparently there was the plea was made so that the public didn't get upset and start doing things they shouldn't. Now that may or may not be true. Now that may be true, and if it is true, it's very similar to, and the crimes are nowhere near the level. So I don't like using it as a comparison, but I kind of have to. When we had something happen in Southport last summer, where it was for community peace and harmony, there were certain details withheld by people across the board. And this seems like it potentially be, according to some others, a reason why they was pleased not to talk about it. I don't think if this is the way we deal with things now, it actually helps community tensions. If anything, it heightens them, because normally the truth does come out. And those people who, for about a week and a bit, were telling folk that there was other people involved, and it maybe wasn't a one-way street, we're warned about the way they were talking about it and told not to spread misinformation. Now, the only misinformation I had came across was people suggesting that the adults may have been involved in something more than being the innocent bystanders and all this. And obviously, at this point, it's just an allegation, so we don't know if even the charges are true until they go to a court of law. But I find it most bizarre that nobody was kind of told not to talk about the wee girl. We were all told we couldn't talk about the adults. And there seemed to be a narrative being driven by some in mainstream and social media. And isn't it bizarre that those who were mocked for suggesting that it may not only be the little girl that had been involved in this incident appear, as far as the charges are concerned, because now two adults are charged. There's nobody kidding on that it was a separate incident. The police are quite clearly telling us that it was this same incident. They've told us it's already been a 12-year-old charged. So the plot thickens. The public are suddenly probably more upset now than they would have been if this had all just been, the facts were declared at the time, and none of it was needed. Absolutely none of it. However, don't go going spreading misinformation, because communities might get upset, and that's absolutely bonkers. And it is possible, we have to remember, that there could be more than one party guilty of doing wrong when any two parties have a situation. There's normally one party's guilty, one party's innocent, but that's not always the case. And if these charges lead to a conviction, then there has obviously been two parties broken the law in an instant. And we always must remember that. So here we go again with more stuff and more noise and more ill feeling when it didn't need to be that way. So if you want others to see this video, please check if you're already subscribed, that you're still subscribed, because we've had a lot of people say they somehow haven't get subscriptions and they haven't been notified, particularly for my lives. A lot of people who like them hit the notifications so they get told when I've got a live, they're not getting them. So double check, hit the subscribe button, double check the notifications are still on. And if you want others to see it, hit the like, put the comments below and hit the share, because the channel for some reason isn't getting as many impressions from YouTube as it normally would. So please help me there. And the most important thing of all, though, unless you're the type of person who slaughters people when they tell the truth and tell them they can't talk about certain things, and not you, but everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.